Scooby Dooby Doo, Scooby Dooby Doo. Oh my god, I'm crazy. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, hang on. Is this working? Okay, wow. A lot of things to do. Sorry, a lot of things to talk about. Um, where do I even start? Now, ideally, there'll be more people here before I start talking about this, but as usual, I have to do it early because that is the only way that this sort of thing is easier to find down the line, right? Because otherwise, like, no one's gonna know at what point of the video this guy rants about his stupid ass website and how he's not been drawing for the weekend. Give me 1 second here. Bloop, 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 bloop. Oh, my stupid ass. Okay, let's just listen to this instead. This is number 1. Okay, check. Okay, hello, Deemer. Oh, shit. What did I just do? Oh, you can do that? What the hell is that? Anyways, I'm getting ahead of the virus. I'm getting very distracted by my stupid thing. Okay, I'm just gonna start like this, right? Currently, we have made 0 progress on the art side. However, on the organizational side, on the website front, we have been making giant leaps for this one person. Anyway, what I'm talking about. Let me just get canvas ready here. So I'm just gonna do an update here because a lot of things can kind of happen. Well, not necessarily that much. Number 1, I got a new keyboard and mouse and a mouse pad. That's pretty nice because the previous ones are constantly getting stuck, which is really annoying. So now I don't have to deal with that anymore. So that's great. And for once, I get to use a proper mechanical keyboard after so many years of using like a flat $10 keyboard. It's actually kind of messing me up quite a bit, but sorry, let me bring up the other document. There's a document that has all the to-dos. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is all the information that is relevant. I'm gonna bring it on screen so that it's for reference. Why is it center aligned? Hello, Ultramatum. Welcome to my rent stream. I'm gonna start renting. There might be very little art today because today's plan is mostly just to straighten things up in terms of what I need to get done and some design related nonsense. So here's what the whole stream is about, right? It's about art, right? That's what it's about. And the idea is to do style development, to find a way to find my own style is what it is, right? To get good and then find my own style is what it is. And with respect to that, there are currently 2 things that are standing in our way. And these are the 2 main things, right? And these are the 2 things that you guys have seen me talk about in the stylization board, where we have 2 different journeys, where one focuses on color. And so we have 2 journeys here. Trying to deal with this. So that's the sort of art technical side. Then there is the adjacent stuff. So for example, stuff like story direction and your art direction and sort of the world building and design as a whole, right? All of these things are sort of adjacent to the technical skill. Ignore video for now. I wanted to make videos, just forget about it. The bot related stuff. Oh, actually, this reminds me. So DTB was reaching out to me because he was trying to set up an event about creativity. So I did a ping. I'm sure everyone has seen it by now. So I just want to give him a shout out here. Thank you, DTB, by the way, for setting it up and organizing it. I will basically have like no part in this, either organization wise or participation wise, just because I'm a little bit swamped right now. There are a couple of things that I need to get out quickly because I have the sort of context in my head, and before it's lost, I have to get it out. If not, I'm gonna lose it, and the things are gonna be very difficult to deal with down the line when I don't have enough context. So unfortunately, I won't be joining for now. So if you have any concerns or any problems, please feel free to reach out to DTB instead, because he's the one organizing. But if there's any other issues, sort of more related to the server, I will be supporting. If he needs a new chat, for example, stuff like that. But anyways, that's just a quick... Hello, what's my mouse? Alright, here is this. Self-imposed limit. This is all the bot stuff, right? This is all bots. Like the indentation got broken, by the way. So art direction is the same as this. So these are the art related stuff. Two more aggregator. So I'll get to this in a bit. This is a sub point here, and then music as well. So currently, previously we talked about the idea of having a website, and the website serves multiple purposes, right? Number one is a portfolio. Number two is a blog for information that I want to sort of share and consolidate, and so that it's not lost and it's not like all over the place in my folder. And number three is going to be some kind of a world building thing, right? As the world building and story direction and art direction comes in, I want to set up an environment where you can not only look at art, but listen to music at the same time, maybe look at some animations. Everything can be handcrafted, right? It can be handcrafted. And unlike a video, it is more perpetual. It just kind of stays there and it just kind of loops. I think it's a bit easier to manage that way. So these are the three main ideas of the website. Currently, I am targeting this as phase one because the reason being, well, these two in particular, but like this is like 1A and this is like 1B and this is like 2, right? And the reason why is that this presentation thing is really hard to know unless we have actual physical things done to present, and then I can craft something that is more tailored to that one thing. So we have to do this process multiple times to figure out what is it that we want to do before I can really go in and decide that, hey, the website layout is going to be like this, right? That's the problem with this. So this is temporarily out. And with respect to these two, currently the quote-unquote portfolio, I have linked up, so there's a lot of things, right? The website is ready. The website is ready. My domain is ready, although I might change the domain. My server is ready. DNS and everything is all linked up in Cloudflare. Everything is ready, right? So if you go to this website right now, it should be live. And this is using my old domain name. But for example here, if you go over here, you will see this stupid ass website. And this website is entirely live, so you guys can check it out. It's just that it's junk. This is all junk, by the way. Nothing here is going to be permanent. Nothing here is for real. And it's just got some really basic stuff, basic searches that doesn't even work. I search for urban, it gives me minimalist skies. I don't know what it's doing, right? So the idea is that, like, for the most part, most of these pictures, they will have some simple tagging, which I'll have to do by hand. Some explanation, some title, and then the image itself. And the presentation currently is not very good. I don't really like this. And I will talk about the design maybe a little bit later. I want to collect some references on stream just to keep it documented. But this is the main idea for just presenting works, right? It's very easy. And then as for certain specific things, we can hijack the entire page so that we can present something in a more sort of comprehensive and holistic way. For example, like this, we can control the background, we can change the entire layout, we can play music, and I don't know, one of these is supposed to play music, like this, for example, right? You can play music, and so on and so forth about other stuff. Also, you notice there's no way to go back, by the way. And pressing back doesn't... Oh, it does work. Wait, what? It doesn't work for this one. It does work for this. Okay, I don't know what's happening. But anyways, the good thing is that the infrastructure is ready. So everything about the infrastructure is ready. There are some stuff that I do have to sort of figure out. But for the most part, infrastructure is ready. All we have to do is design and draw and upload it. That's it, right? So that is the website for this part here. Sorry, for this part here. Of course, this one shares the same infrastructure, but I'll have to figure out what to do with this after this is ready, right? So then we deal with this. However, there's another thing here, which is the Twitter bookmark viewer and aggregator. So if you guys remember, hello Bungus. With respect to the color and render journey here, right? There is a problem that I've been facing, is that I don't know which direction I need to head in. We kind of have a rough idea, but we don't have a very clear idea. We don't exactly know that which artist is going to be the artist to reference for color and for render, for example. They can be separate artists, separate set of artists actually, but we don't know yet. And so this process here involves me basically going through the bookmarks thing, which I haven't really gone through, even though I've been talking about it for like a week and a half now. But we have approximately 6,000 files that I've retrieved from my Twitter bookmarks. So from X, right? And the thing is, going through all of these things manually is not impossible. It just takes a long ass time. And not to mention, it's kind of hard to reference. So previously, there was this thing that I created very briefly. And it was meant to sort of present things in a 2D map, right? And on this 2D map, you can then look at things based on different features of the art. So for example, I'll just show you here because the last time we did it, it was a very simple Python script that kind of did jack shit. It was kind of a bit of a mess and it's not very good, right? But this time around, because we have the infrastructure over here, well, to be fair, the infrastructure here is not really going to be used for this just yet. But we do have the website ready, and it's a similar website. So eventually, when it's ready, I could just push it to live production if we do need to. But in the meantime, it will just remain as a local project. But I'm just going to showcase it real quick. Where is my... I think I closed it. Okay. So if you guys have seen this before, like if you guys were for the stream for that one thing before, you would have seen this before. But the idea is really simple, right? You have 4,000 image files over here. Some of these are a little bit more explicit, by the way. So I'm going to leave it a little bit more pixelized and zoomed out like this. But you have 4,000 images here. And the idea is that depending on certain features of the art, like for example, how many white pixels there are. These are really basic, by the way. We're just counting number of white pixel, blue pixel, and red pixels. And the reason why is I'm just trying to set up the pipeline. So once the pipeline is ready, we can swap out the sort of feature extraction algorithm, and then we can sort of group things based on different numbers. And this would help sort of analysis, because across hundreds of different artists, across thousands of different pieces, what pieces are similar and what pieces are not similar, and they're similar in what way, right? So if you like, say, for example, a specific piece, the idea is that all the other adjacent pieces around it will look very similar. Currently, it doesn't work, just to be clear, because we are just plotting by the number of pixels right now, literally by height, which is kind of stupid. So let's say we plot by the number of white pixels and the number of white pixels. So we have two axes over here, right? But if we select the same thing, it's like saying we only use one axis. So what you will get is a single straight line. And on top here, you get pieces where it's literally just sort of sketches, right? You have a lot of white pixels. And then on the other hand, you're supposed to have less white pixels. Currently, I'm not 100% sure why. There's some stuff that doesn't really work here. Some of the math doesn't work out, but that's not quite the concern now, because the concern now is mostly setting up infrastructure. So there is this thing. And then, okay, I don't know what that did. We can plot something like this. It's kind of broken. Okay, yeah, like, so something here is still kind of broken here. I'm just going to refresh this. Because the idea is that once we have, like, this plot ready. Currently, I'm trying to sort out this clustering problem, because if you zoom into any area, oh, I don't know which area is safe and which one is not. But if you zoom in, you can see that it's a lot of overlap. And this is a problem, because you want to be able to, at one glance, see different pictures and across different things. And the cluster just is supposed to clean that up. For me. But like as you zoom in, it's supposed to sort of decouple more and more and more come out. So it becomes easier to look at the details. But you notice that I'm zooming in all the way at the SU20 over here, because they're literally computed to be the same value on the spot. And so they're kind of all overlapped anyways. So I'm trying to sort out the math behind it to so that it can do it properly. But this is going on. And the idea is that if this thing is ready, this part here where we're trying to sort of figure out the target reference for color and render, it's going to be so simple, because all I do is I walk around this map and then I just find what I like and find the surrounding artists, and then look at those artists, see what those artists might like, what's on their timeline, what other pieces they have liked or retweeted. I can put those artists in and I have it churn through the numbers, and then I can basically collect information really quickly. And also looking for, and also again, right, this is an infrastructure. So the idea is that the website is able to take image data, process it, and group it based on certain features. So it doesn't have to be by bookmarks. It can be something else. It can be one singular artist's work, and then trying to map it based on sort of different complexity levels or different ideas. I don't know if like it's possible to extract stuff like composition. Maybe if you do facial recognition and then you sort of pattern out the positions, you can figure out certain compositional ideas, right? But this is the current infrastructure that I'm currently working on. And but anyways, yeah, that's the main update for the website stuff. And then eventually I want to do stuff for music as well, because, you know, music is a great inspiration sort of thing that, hello DTV, that drives me, that drives a lot of people. And I'm sure there's algorithms out there that already helps people sort of group things, because even if you do like AI prompting, or you go on Spotify, there are tags that say that this is melancholic, this is what kind of genre, stuff like that, right? So if you can group stuff based on that, You can find similar musics. You can find maybe a set of like very similarly emotionally wise, very similar music pieces that you can listen to in a loop and then to help you draw in a certain specific mood, right? Those are all very sort of useful things. The only problem is this idea of feature extraction. Oh my god, my tablet died again. Give me a second. This idea of feature extraction is essentially a mathematical way to break down data of like ones and zeros, either in image format or in MP3 music format, that then comes out that can tell you something about the image. Like previously, we were just counting number of white pixels, but you can do stuff like edge detection, right? You can do stuff like sort of the color gamut. You can compile like all of the pixels and then figure out what kind of range of colors of the color wheel is this image based in, and doing stuff like that. And then that's the first level. Yeah, that's the first level. And then if you have like say multiple data, let's say your data is here and your image is here, like for example, oh my god, I cannot write. You do your first level of feature extraction, right? For example, you can do like the line work, right? So let's just do like a line edge detection, right? Edge detection, if you're not familiar, if I'm getting the name correct, by the way, I'm not sure 100%. But imagine you're drawing a piece and you have color, right? If you draw a piece and you have some color here and whatnot, edge detection basically go and looks for this edge between different blocks of color, essentially, right? So you can do edge detection on that, and then you can do one more level on top of the data that you have collected, which is, for example, let me just get rid of this shit. For example, you can decide that based on the edges and the data that you have collected here, how complex is it, right? And you might have multiple things, like for example, number of white pixels as well. Number of let's say this is like the largest ratio, sorry, largest proportion of colors. Let's say largest number of similarly colored pixels or something. I am thinking of a case where, let's say you have a character drawn on a white piece of paper. Actually, let's just use white then in that case, because I'm making it way more complicated thinking of the edge cases. But let's just ignore that for now. Let's say we have the number of white pixels and we have edge detection. Both of these can be fed into this sequence and to the final computation, because we can be like, hey, how complex is this? Is this a sketch, right? Or is this a simple sketch? Or is this a very complex background sketch? Because you can, first of all, decide if it's a sketch or not by number of sort of the proportion of white pixels versus total pixels, right? If there's a lot of white pixels over total pixels, you can treat it as a sketch. Yes, it's a heuristic, right? And then from here you can look at the sort of the edge detection. So this can be like how many pixels. Once again, it will be proportion of edges versus empty spaces, for example. And that can tell you how complex it is. So together we can then do this idea of finding out is this a complex sketch, right? And then from here we can basically start grouping stuff by like, this is a complex sketch versus simple sketch versus not a sketch, and then it becomes an easy way to analyze this. That is the idea anyways. The problem here is that a lot of this initial logic here is very, very difficult to do properly, because imagine edge detection, right? Like these are sort of established algorithms that people have spent a lot of time working on and coming up with, right? It's a lot of math underlying. And the problem is that depending on the stuff that we want at the end here, we might not be able to generate an algorithm that is smart and effective enough and fast enough, by the way, to be able to come up with the numbers that we need to crunch. So a lot of these things are, I don't know how far we can go. At the very least, I would like to have some kind of more basic stuff that can at least help me figure out the answer for these two. And again, this being the main goal, if I can figure this out, I am not going to bother with this anymore. This is just mainly a tool to help with this. But anyways, that's the whole rant about the current website and development series sort of progression. Today's goal would be, I mean, like finishing this is still on the table, definitely, right? I'm not gonna abandon this. But another thing that we do kind of have to do is the website's sort of design, the UI design for the website. And I've been looking around essentially for sort of ideas on what website should look like for an artist, right? For a portfolio website where we're talking about works, what could it possibly look like, and maybe what should it look like? I think a lot of these things are actually, let me swap over to my Firefox here to keep the operation a little bit cleaner here. I'm just gonna ignore that for now. So here is one of the pretty famous artists. I think you've probably seen their stuff before, right? I'm just gonna send links as I'm getting them. And so you can see, actually, this is one of my favorite websites that I found. Is that it's very eye-catching, right? It's great for an artist to present their work. You have a huge space that just presents the stuff. It even has a counter here to tell you when it's going to transit, which is really good sort of user experience thing. A lot of these websites, sometimes I find they're not very good for user experience because just because, you know, they're not front-end designers per se. But Mika Picasso has like a different idea here. And Mika Picasso's one, you can see that it really plays into her sort of vibrant color. She really likes those really bright saturated colors. It really plays into it too. So like there's a lot of personality in a lot of these websites. So it's interesting. So I'm not sure if I'll be spending necessarily too much time today trying to deal with trying to collect some references for this. But I think it'd be interesting to also just document this process of just kind of collecting some ideas for websites of how things can be presented. I'm pretty much leaning towards having a huge splash screen like this, right? And then it's just a carousel that just kind of goes through by itself, right? There's a timer here. It's going to go through by itself. But then if you scroll down, for example, I think there's a... Oh, let me send Mika Pico's site. There is also... let me see. Shit, what was that? Yes. So Yone Yamamai doesn't have their own website. I'm not sure if they're a female or male, which I forgot. But over here, this is just ArtStation, right? But ArtStation, you see like a way of presenting stuff that I quite like. It's just a grid, very simple grid. There is no border, so everything is maximizing the use of space, right? So that's also pretty good, I think. So we can have like a carousel at the top, and then we can have like more sort of grid-like stuff at the bottom. Of course, the problem now is also we don't really have anything to put in it. I'm just mostly going to set up the structure. And then we're slowly try to populate it. I think once the sort of... dang it. Let me find a Pinterest link here. But once we get the structure for the website ready and everything is ready to go, I feel like it will motivate me to draw more. And also, the things that we draw will be a lot more sort of targeted. Because we're no longer just drawing for fun. We're kind of thinking about portfolio, what to put forward. And also, if we want to kind of have like our own characters kind of standing along the side, right? We can start working on stuff like that, you know, and that'll be more interesting. Oh my god. I just wanted to show the infinity scroll part as well as the sort of layout. So if you look at Pinterest's layout, it's a lot more... It's not like a fixed grid, right? It's like kind of just like however tall it takes, but then the width is fixed, something like that. So this could also be interesting. But yeah, anyways, so that's kind of the stuff that's going through my mind at this point in time. I just want to bring it, get it out there. And but that's all for now. I would say. Did I send out the links? I did send out the 3 links. I think that's fine. I think for today I'll probably work on this for now. And then if I get tired of this, I can go back to some website design stuff, or we can go back to our main piece that we've been putting out for a really long time. Actually, where is it by now? I don't know where it went. Stream. This one here. Yeah, this one's also kind of hard because we need to think about the design here. I can't open this kind of arms right now because I'm a little bit too occupied in my head. So I might have to leave that for now. Okay, okay, I'll just continue working on this for now. Alright, I'm gonna go to the washroom. I'll be right back, and then I'll just continue working on this. Oh my god, let's go. Okay. Very cool. Let's get started. I'll sort my own music out. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to this. Cool. Alright, everything is checked out. Alright, what do I even have here? I kind of forgot. I might have edited the lines out of stream, by the way. I kind of forgot if I did that on stream or not. But I didn't. I basically didn't work on any art this weekend. Oh. Everything takes so long. I feel like in the past it feels like that you have so much time because I spend it all on playing games and stuff. I'm like, wow, that's so much time. What do I do? Now it's like never enough time because so many things to do. I think I'm just sorting out the tail, right? Oh, oops. I wasn't expecting this, but it actually feels easier to work with my new keyboard and mouse. I didn't realize it was affecting my workflow here too. It's kind of quick. Yeah, it's kind of quick. I think two flicks might be nice, but it's kind of quick. Right, right, right. I was contemplating if I want to spend $20 to increase the number of frames so this can be a bit more natural. I mean, you can always do that in the future. One flick. One flick. I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, it's clothing too. Got a bit. Huh? Weird. Right, I'm having issues trying to convert back from programming and stuff into back into art. Slowly getting back online here. Like a circle, right? That goes through. I've seen so many of those guides. Let me see. No. What animal that's that actually? Like a horse? No, horse side by side. Isn't that like one that goes up? Hmm. Okay, we need to try something simpler first. Oh, an anchor? Oh my god. Gotta update my drop counter. Holy shit. What? Microsoft Office popped up. What the fuck? Hello? Dang it. Oh, right. I don't have a reference today. Should I do this? Already more. I need more movement here. Cycle's not quite right, but very limp, huh? I've seen this being done. I just don't know what size circle I should be using, and if it makes sense, because at least I need to get rid of this. Here more. Oh, but the let's see. Pushes it back out. Right? Everything should be pushed out. Maybe some weird stuff here. What about this perspective though? It's not a perfect circle, I don't know. Hello, Maxi. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we're just exploring. I was talking about website design, and the portfolios for those individuals have. Sorry, the websites for those individuals are interesting. I'll say. I think Lamb. Their website is more portfolio-y because it showcases work right off the bat. It showcases various work. Mika Pikazo's, I guess she doesn't really need any introduction anymore. The website really is just playing into her strengths with colors and the vibrance. And just some information about herself and like contact information. And then Yoneyama Mai was just art station, which also has its own values. It's also interesting in its own right because I like the grids. Grids was nice. I don't know what I'm doing with the toe. I might have to dump this delay this some more. And just do the line art for the rest of the body. Good thing the tail is just kind of by itself anyways. It's not really... like this movement in the beginning, all 3 dots seems to be moving up in like a... it's like an arm that kind of goes, right? Because this is like... this... this... they're all kind of straight. So it doesn't feel very flowy, whereas the return, it actually has this curve where this kind of leads a little bit. The problem is that the going up part, I don't really know how it's supposed to lead. What is the actuating force here? Because I don't know how the muscles here will work, right? Because it doesn't exist. If you use an arm as an analog, your arm has like a couple links. And then the way that I found I'm moving my arm is that this guy goes up first. So it would be this, this, this. Then this guy goes up first, right? So it ends up being like this. And as we go up some more, might be a bit more delayed. And then maybe this opens up really quickly at the end here. So this will go up, whereas this kind of gets pulled by this point. This gets pulled, and then it kind of shoots out because this is trying to return, trying to change its vector direction, right? This is a delta V. Because this is this direction, this is this direction, the delta V is this way. And as this changes, this guy is getting pulled initially by this delta. This is the direction it's getting pulled in. So it wants to travel this way. It wants to travel this way, but this knob is returning because of distance. So as it travels this way... ooh, does it get pulled back then this way? So it shouldn't go all the way there, no? No, but it wants to go this way, right? And it's getting pulled this way, but this length is fixed. This length cannot decrease, so I cannot fit into this space physically. So I guess there's forces being returned from this elbow over here through this cartilage, through the bone here, which then forces another sort of delta this way, which then causes it to open up maybe. So that's why it ends up on this side, because the forces are this, this, and this. Yeah, like this is the only way I can reason this out. The virus. So now the issue is with the tail, right? I don't really know how it's supposed to work. But fish bones, at least we know there are like just like basically like spines, right? There's a lot of them. So it's like saying there's a lot of these thingies. If there's a lot of these thingies, which one leads, right? Where is the leading here? Is there like just some magical like position somewhere in the middle of the tail, like somewhere here maybe, where it leads the movement? Because you're not going to generate the force just at the joint, right? We're not generating the force at the joint. We're generating by contracting muscles here in order to sort of contract this and pull this up. With respect to that. Right. So what if between each one of these, there are like muscles like this? And I guess as it's trying to go up, for example, all of these like contract. So rather than each one of them being the actuating force, this guy doesn't move, but the contraction sort of causes everything to curve up. So if this was the straight line like this, if this was the tail, then it would end up looking like, so this would be the same joint. It would end up looking like this. Because everything on this side is now contracted. So the forces is really kind of coming from this entire back part of the tail. Is that right? What does that mean for us though? So our tail initial at rest is just kind of going down. Let's say side view, right? I'm gonna ignore 3D for now. Let's say side view is just gonna come down like this. And in reality, there's like a bit more meat over here, right? Which kind of complicates the curve that you're gonna draw at the very end. But let's say we ignore that for now. So this is the initial curve. I suppose I just join it. You know what? The connector at the base is kind of more like more flat for me, I think. But let me think. And now I have to do the. So our iliac crest. We have our fucking thing here. Boner? Boner? The bone comes out this way. So the tail really kind of comes out this way, right? Based off of the spine and the hip and all that. I don't know why it's called boner. It's a good question. Probably just because it's hard, I think. But dogs do have a bone in their dick, though. Did you know that dogs are always erect? They just tuck it into their body instead. And there's a bone inside of their dicks for whatever reason. And I believe it's called the baculum. Let me check this. Oh yeah, like this. Oh, the gorilla has it too. I didn't know that. Oh, damn. Why would I know this? This is just random furry knowledge from the past. You will learn a lot of random useless things. You also kind of like come across, you know, which animals have like what they call a prehensile penis, which basically means that the penis itself has, they can move it like a tentacle, essentially what it is. I forgot which animals have it though. It's been a while. Hey, subscribe for more animal facts. That's probably it. I don't think I know that much. That's about it. Yeah, let me see. So the contraction is gonna cause this to turn this way, right? That's what it's gonna do. So what is the in-between of this? It will just go from straight into this. It will just go from this way curve into... It will slowly straighten itself and it will do that. So there is no necessarily one point that leads the movement though. Because what I want to do is have it like kind of down, come out a bit, come up, and then like do this, and then like that, and then like come drop back down again. It's like a nice fluid movement, but I mean, surely it should be possible, right? If you have like a long enough thing, if you have a long enough thing, you can send a sort of like a wave down the thing, right? You can send a wave down the thing by lifting it up and then dropping it down. That means the position, the actuation is here, but the thing is, this thing is fixed to the ass. So you can't really do that. Right? You can't lift this point physically up and then drop it back down to start a wave down the tail. So the only way to do it would be to do it a little bit further away from the connection point. So you would lift, the initial part will lift up to this point perhaps, but the rest of the tail is limp. And then this will drop back down, and then the wave will go through the rest of the tail. But the initial part here behaves separately, like that, I guess. Reasoning this out, if this seems like what would happen, but I don't know. If anything, it kind of sucks, because it kind of feels like we don't have the space on canvas to show that wave anyways, if that's the case. So down, right? This part curves, right? This is the initial sequence. It curves. it pulls the rest of the tail, which remains relaxed, which is why this part is still curved this way and not curved the other way, right? Because if we could have just curved all the way like that. And then we curve some more. We curve some more. There's even more lag. And then we drop it back down. And then the curve kind of goes this way. And then the curve, the apex of the curve shifts down as the wave travels down the wave, the tail here. Right, I can kind of see it. But I think I'm gonna just ignore the tail for now. This is very complex. Yeah. Just gonna deal with the clothing real quick. The clothing doesn't really move, I think. Mostly it's just going to flicker a little bit when the wings start to move. Oh, but when the wings sort of open up... Oh, I just realized this part doesn't make a lot of sense. This should be higher, maybe. Yeah, this should be higher. Let's deal with that real quick. Oh, shit. Oh, dang it. else. Right, I see. Wondering if the wings being cut is a problem or not. Yeah, maybe I should just keep it like this, even if it is cut off. Oh, wait a second. No, I'm not touching the hair. It's enough complexity as it is. I mean, worst case, you just go out of bounds. I think that's fine. Oh. Can I not move it over? I think I'll take it. There's like some stuff that I'm not really sure about. And I still don't really like, but I think I'm just gonna go. We have to ball here. How do I deal with this now, actually? What do I do now? I need one set of clean lines. For the base. And they will propagate to each one, I think. Let me imagine how it's gonna work. What doesn't change here? Body for the most part. Right, it's just a flicker. I think we got a bit lucky. I just realized that my original plan was only to do base color. We're not gonna do shadows or anything. But for her, because of the gradient on the hand and the legs, it would have still been tricky even if it was just base color, because that's that transition zone. But at least we're lucky enough that it doesn't really matter too much this time, I think. Oh yeah, did Eve ever release that video? Was it just a short then? Hmm. No, I think it's vector layers, right? Wait, hang on. Wait, what? What power creep this time? I thought I'm holding back. I am currently trying to figure out if I should use vector lines for this or no. I don't seem to have a vector 2 here. I guess it's only the vector layer. I like the texture that I saw in the reference. I guess it's a reference now, but I like the texture of what I saw there. There we go. They even have line weight on this. Dang. Well, I guess there's no way about it. Like, there's no two ways about it. We just kind of have to get this going, I guess. What? Right, it's not looking too good then. Well, but body is not too bad. I mostly fixed 2 frames. I think. Let me think about this logically, because I remember the last time we did this, I'm like, yeah, animation's not for me, it's very painful, blah blah blah. Same thing for render, right? The issue is primarily with the polish, the level of finish that I wish I would like to be doing, I would like to have, but I don't have the patience, and it's not fun to do to that extent. I'm trying to think how I want to approach this, because whatever that I'm doing for this couple of lines here, I have to do for everything for multiple different frames. I don't know how many frames we have, but I'm starting to wonder if this is what I should spend this much time on. Because this is primarily goofing off. Animation classifies under goofing off here. Don't want to spend too much time on this. But what's the alternative here, right? If I don't have clean lines, what's gonna happen later? So we do kind of need clean lines, but maybe I'll just lower requirements for the specific shape of it. Because the thick lines to clean lines process, you lose quite a bit of ambiguity. That means you do have to resolve some of these edges and stuff, and I'm not sure if I like all of them. And sometimes it takes a while to figure out which direction you want to go. Like, is it the inner side or the outer side? I'm just gonna speed through this then in that case. Don't want to spend too much time on it. Where's my hand? There we go. Yeah, that's right? That's why people use vector lines, so you can kind of just shift some lines around. You don't have to redraw the problematic lines. Which is not what we're doing, by the way. I am drawing everything. I'm not turning on the vector layer line thing. I'm not turning it on primarily because I feel like it wouldn't be that bad. That's what I'm feeling like. It's a really good practice to... It's a really good time to throw in a lot of practice for lines, right? And position. Thin lines and you have to be consistent across frames. Like, that is a lot of... You're basically forced to do it. Unless you want the outcome to look like shit. So there's no way out for me. Other than to be able to do it. Or learn to compromise. Honestly, like, all matters of all ways this can come out is really good for me. Either I get really good that I don't have to compromise, or I learn to compromise, which is an important skill across all the other aspects too. I learn my own limits. I learn to prioritize things that I should prioritize and whatnot. Body muscle memorying back to the wrong brush. And also sometimes there's multiple like strokes there, and I don't know how that will work in a sort of vector line situation. Probably still better than having to redraw everything though. I mean, the body is kind of just this, no? Because like the clothing here would take care of some of the edges here. I do have my hand here, but I don't know what it looks like. I mean, I can swap things in and out already, no? No, I think it's probably smarter to produce the set first. So we do everything once first. Make sure everything looks good together. Then we push it and down, propagate down to the respective levels. I think that makes more sense. this. Honestly, I don't really know like how this is gonna work for me in the future, because I want to do everything, right? I want to be able to do everything, but obviously we cannot. Um, at some point in time, I have to figure out what that trade-off is gonna look like. But I think no matter what, like going forwards, if we want to do a project that involves building out an entire world, I think the premise is that it's always gonna have to involve other people at some point. But at the very least, if I have done everything, the concept design, illustration rendering, animation, live 2D, 3D, the music, if I had just touched everything, at least for a little bit, then I can better communicate ideas, you know, better hold the project together, because I understand the trade-offs, I understand the sort of limitations of each medium. More than just at the surface level, because I have sort of, I guess, experienced some of the pain. It probably help communication down the line, if nothing else. That's my current wishful thinking. Actually, I'm wondering if the body should just be... No, but because it's different. Ooh, it's kind of tricky. Because I'm thinking about some of these lines. Like, for example, some things affect each other, even though they're kind of different parts. Like these places. But if I have them on the same layer, it will mean that the... Let's say the body lines, for example, as we're animating the clothing movement here, we have to be duplicated that many number of times for no real reason. But the counter argument being that if we separate them into separate layers, right? Like what we have now. And the good thing is that let's say that we look at the body. The body only has 2 frames here, because we only need 2. So that's great, right? While the clothing can have 7, for example. The problem, however, comes when the colors come in, because depending on the shape that's on top, the colors might, the block of the color, the area that the color covers might have to change as well. Currently, it's pretty clean, I think, in this layout, because clothing is always on top of the body. But like, okay, let's say this arm here, right? This arm is technically behind the clothing. No, but it's fine, right? Because it's actually part of this block here. So it's fine, okay. So for this, it's fine. Because I feel like there are cases where the layout might not be as clear cut, and it might be a little bit tricky to figure out what should be on top and what should be below. But I also don't have a good example right now, so I think I will just continue with this process, and then if things come out, we solve it as it comes out, I guess. It's kind of interesting to touch on everything. It just kind of sucks that everything is new, right? Like it's so tiring to just always be failing and doing things that you don't know what you're doing. Not having like an easy time. I was having a conversation with my friend recently about what kind of games I like. And between me and him, the difference is very apparent, right? He likes to sort of change things up, try different things, find out all the different trade-offs of making different decisions are like. But I always just choose the thing that I will find one thing that I like, and then I will stick to it. And I'll do it as well as I can. And then that's it. And at the end of the day, there's some personality differences for sure, but there are also issues with sort of energy and attention, I think. Sometimes you play a game not because you really want to excel at it, but because you just want to chill. Then in which case you don't necessarily want to solve problems constantly. You want to have a set of skills that you have already kind of honed over a period of playtime. and then just use it. It's kind of like here. I kind of just want to have a set of skills where I can just draw, and then that's it. I don't have to learn new things every single day. But there's also value in doing this. I don't know. As long as I have capacity, I suppose. I can just keep pushing. Suppose when we run out, and then we can figure something out at that point, I guess. Wait a second, let me think about this. So the clothing would be covering the wings in this case. Whereas over here, the wings are kind of on top. So one of these guys will have to deal with the thing. So whichever one has more movement should probably be the one that is... that should be on top. Wait, let me think. Because the more movement there is, that means there's more frames, there's more changes, right? It being on top means that these changes, when propagated to the colors, the base, the layers with the colors, can just outright cover up the stuff underneath and therefore save us a lot of grief and trouble. So, but in this case, the wings and the clothing kind of move in tandem. So that's fine. I think it doesn't matter which one's on top. But otherwise, I think whichever one's on top will be pretty important. So the more frames it has is probably better to go on top. Stuff like ears and wings. Why does he have one more frame than clothing? It doesn't matter. The hand is on top because it physically is just on top. That's also another factor, I suppose. Oh, man. Alright. No more thinking. Just do. I did this on the wrong layer. Good thing I caught it early. This is no joke if you do it on the wrong layer this time around. Oh. I hope this is not too thin though, the lines. The lines here feel thicker. I went thinner because I saw that there were line weight, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do line weight later. Then I kind of went back because I didn't want to do line weights, because that means more strokes per frame. It is a little bit thinner, I think. It is what it is, I think. We're kind of committed now. I don't really want to start from zero again. That's a bad thing about not using vector layers. Otherwise, vector layers, you can just change the line width of everything at once. Another ambulance outside my house. Very cool. Yeah, this is not vector. I was saying that we're just gonna ball this like full on. We are going to throw this directly. Go big or go home. Get big. Wait, get big. Get good or get boned. But why? I'm not sure. I feel like I think I can do this. I think I went through a couple of reasons just now. Number one is I think it should be fine. Number two is a good practice, I think. Because we're basically forced to be precise or forced to compromise. You have to learn to do either. So, as someone who's not very good at doing compromising, I might be able to learn to compromise here. I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. So her hand is on her hip, but then the clothing is also kind of being folded out around the same region. Uh... Yeah, I'm kind of a mess. Honestly, I feel like a lot of times in life, I'm always somewhere like in between. I'm never either on like a leaning towards like one side. I feel like I'm always kind of somewhat smack in the middle doing something stupid that's inefficient. I mean, I'm saying this, but I also don't quite. As I'm saying it, I realize it's not necessarily quite true, right? It's not everything, but there are things that are like kind of a bit of a mess. I feel like. Why am I methodical in one thing, but then I just outright don't really care in another thing? It feels really weird that it's the case. It's kind of like how Arknight's Anvil is neither has like so many weird game modes in there that it feels like a huge jumble mess. But Arknights is also I kind of like Anvil now because of the jumbleness of the mess. You're never fully invested in say factory building. Anyways, some random jump. I've been learning about myself a lot recently. Arknight's Anvil especially. After the factory thing, I was like, oh, the factory seems kind of fun, kind of nice. And I tried some actual factory games. And I realized I kind of hate it because there is no real purpose to building the factory other than just building the factory. In Arknights, at least you're making materials, you're making consumables, you're making things that you can use in the main game. But I feel like in those like Factorio, you're just kind of growing upwards, no? You're just kind of trying to scale up. Not sure though. I didn't really play too much. That being said, don't really like the shapes I see here. I'm kind of a little bit stuck. Alright, we're gonna compromise on that sequence here. How do I do this? There's gonna be some amount of pooling here, I think. But I also don't want to do that. Seems kind of complicated. Just use one line there, keep things simple. Huh, is that right? I see. Thank you very much. Yeah, interesting, huh? There is a lot, yeah, I do spend a lot of time talking about like the logic and the structure and all this and that, but then when it comes down to it, I feel like unless you can feel the thing and just draw it by feel, you can't really draw well unless that's the case. It just feels like drawing anatomy, you kind of have to feel the flow and let your lines go loose. If it's color, you kind of have to just feel the emotion of the color. And if I can't feel it, I just can't draw it. The analysis can kind of help me to put down colors that I think is correct for the situation, but it never feels right. It never feels good. So maybe it's just no. Maybe it's just me feeling things, not feeling it. What? Right. I think part of that is because I'm really lazy. I really don't want to use like things that would tie me down unnecessarily. But then what is necessary, right? Because if I clearly can't draw properly without it, then isn't that necessary then? So I'm just being stubborn and lazy. And then I'm just choosing to be quote-unquote analytical when I feel like it. Which is kind of weird. So at the end of the day, am I more analytical or am I more sort of intuitive, right? Because I'm choosing to be analytical based on my intuition. So does that make it? God damn. Anyways, it's a mess. I don't know what's happening here. Let me think about this real quick. So her wrist would be pressing into her body that then clamps down on the clothing. But then there will be fabric that kind of slips out and then drapes over the front. How does this work? Maybe I just do this or something? Man, I kind of want to hope that one day we can hop off YouTube because YouTube is kind of sucks that I cannot just play all the music I want to play. I am playing it now, but like I feel like I should be able to share it with stream too. Insane, huh? Yeah, I don't know. Intuition. Everything's so complicated in life. Oh my god. If only it were just ones and zeros. Oh, where's the fun in that, I suppose? Is this fun, though? It's supposed to be more fun than not having anything, right? What am I... Oh, shit. I'm wondering if I should push the body, make the body visible on that side. But it doesn't feel balanced, because this is kind of here, which implies that this should be... Oh no, but this doesn't have a hand, though. What difference would it make, though, even if it's here? I think I should stick over the contour, the silhouette still. True, I suppose. The first thing that came to mind when you mentioned that is that I don't feel like it necessarily works. Right? It's not like I necessarily got quite far with that method. But at the same time, I guess the approach in and of itself is a little bit different from other people. Whether if it worked or not. So, I guess. I'll just, anyways, either way though, right? I guess I'll just do whatever that feels natural. I see, I see. That's reassuring to hear. That I can do junk and people can find value in it. Oh man. Maybe everyone deep down just feel like they're a fraud unless they're like super narcissistic or something. Because it always feels like I'm doing some weird nonsense. It doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. Kind of getting stuck here because I don't really know. Alright, cancel the request to cancel. Request to cancel. Hang on. Oh, I see. It's more complicated than that. Alright, I see. Sometimes it's interesting just to see a different, more unique point of view, I suppose, and then you can get some inspiration from that about some new ideas you can try. I can relate with that. Um, I guess I just don't personally know how unique or not unique I am relative to everyone else. Um, at least in terms of like starting knowledge, and I'm definitely not starting with the same thing, I suppose, with all the fundamentals and this and that. Jump in first, do it first, get results first, and then figure out what's happening from there. I think seems to be the philosophy, because results matter. And I don't have the patience, I guess. Yeah, it's weird, I guess. Alright, I'm just gonna leave it. I don't really... I mean, but it's just clothing there, who cares, right? Like, it is what it is. It's fine. Should I move this back? It seems kind of tight there for no reason. What is she even wearing, actually? I just realized I have to give this thing a color. Huh, wait a second. But white and something pure is probably easier. Something light. It'd probably be fine, I think. Right, but like the body is like kind of all the way over here, no? Kind of hard to see. Feeling kind of blind here. As I always do, I suppose. So it opens up, right? So before it's, I think, kind of coming down, and then it opens up more and more this way. Okay. So what am I seeing? I'm seeing the back of the... If I want to keep it simple, this is it. But otherwise, I guess the spine of the wing is here. And then there's like feathers here. This is the top of the spine. I'll leave it as simple as I can, I think, in areas where I can kind of cheap on it. Should I do it? It would look kind of nice if it's balanced like this. I don't know what the implication might be though, for a subsequent amount, like work and stuff like that. I'm just gonna leave it for now. See, erasure is not difficult, I suppose. It's just that so many things that ending at the same spot here. It's kind of annoying. Also, I think generally this is not advisable just because it becomes kind of visually complicated sometimes, where you don't really know what one thing ends and where another thing begins. If there's colors, I think it's fine, but like I remember in the past, I always find it kind of annoying to see it happen. So I'm going to just make the clothing come out more just because I can. I guess it doesn't really help too much. Yeah, it's fine, acceptable. Just push it. Oh, work tomorrow. The gaps are not really a problem though, I don't think. Kinda got its own charm too. Okay, we clear main. Oh, how do I do eyes? Wait, let me think about this. I guess we draw contour instead of paint, grub it in. I think it's fine though. It's fine. Alright, we do what looks good in this single frame, and then we just make it work for the animation. That should be the correct. We shouldn't compromise for animation, if we can help it. And eyes, I think we should be able to, But what difference is it though if I leave it as a contour versus doing this? Unless I'm using a more texture brush where there's like gaps in between, right? But then if there's gaps in between frames, if it's not consistent, it's gonna look weird. But I'm also going to be jittering every single line anyway. Let's keep it simple here then. Actually, then in that case, I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm just gonna keep it like this for now. Because this is simpler for now. And then complexity can be tested out later. Part of our experiment and learning experience, of course, of course, of course. I think it's the first time we're properly doing animation. Because the Ria one never really got finished. Do we do anything else? I don't think so. Oh. Get good. Okay, got. Only forwards. Yeah, it is pretty tough, I think. The face needs to be good before anything else can happen. I do agree. I always find myself getting stuck there. It's like a couple places that you kind of get stuck, I guess. No, but like honestly, I kind of get stuck in a lot of areas too. Just as some of the other ones feel a little less consequential. Like the anatomy can be slightly off and you'll be kind of okay, but the face being a little bit off is not an option even. I think I'm gonna have to put like a bit of a timer on this thing. We don't have to just like trash it if we can't finish within a time frame. But just like for example, I will spend only like a couple of days, like a 1 day per stream, sorry, per week, working on this. And then otherwise, we should spend it on our main objective still, because this is goofing off still. Complete theory. I'm afraid, yeah, for me, I don't even have it. That's why it's so inconsistent. I feel like maybe if we learn the, how like the eyes work in terms of it depicting emotion, it might help. But I feel like sometimes it's not really that. It's more of just a proportion issue. Oh wait, hang on. Eyes is responsible for everything on the face, right? I believe. Blush is separate. That much I do remember. But blush is very tricky though. Wait, am I lagging? Huh. Weird. Blush is tricky because if I use lines, it's kind of hard to increase the number of lines consistently. But I would like to have lines. I mean, I can draw lines now. It doesn't matter. I can always just swap it out for color later if I can't make it work. So it is what it is. Yes. That would be best, indeed. That's like the true way to be like really good at something, I feel like. To understand and then apply. And then you get so good at applying. That would be nice, yeah. I see. But I think that is basically being great at it, is it not? I think maybe that is the difficulty for that. Just being consistently correct, right? Which is also the final goal of it. Because once you're consistently correct, fundamentally correct, then I guess you're done, right? There's not much upper room to grow beyond that. Temp? Right. Let me think about this. Would it be more consistent if I use a transform too? I don't necessarily think so. We just rely on our eyes and our intuition, I think, to make it look like it's fine, I think. Right. Like a more scientific method, right? I think that's a good method. I just don't know if it's sort of realistic in the sense that there are so many aspects of art because there's so many different elements, so many different factors, and they all affect the sort of perception of it. Because if a thing is out of proportion, you can make one thing smaller or you can make the other things bigger. So like it feels like it could potentially be just too complex to approach it like that, right? If you have a equation with like a bajillion variables, you can still change one and then see how it goes, but then there are still just a bajillion. It might not be doable in a lifetime. Actually, now that I think about it, that's kind of impressive how like humans are able to sort of learn the bajillion things intuitively. Because that's basically what this is, right? Other artists that made it, they just kind of intuitively know certain things. They might be able to explain other things, but there's also a lot that is just intuitive. Humans kind of pop, huh? The way AI is gonna replace us all. Very cool. True, yeah. True. Is that true? Indeed. Yeah, actually, I don't know if this will finish in any realistic amount of time, just because it's gonna get so much more complex once the outlines are tied down tightly. You have to keep things consistent, volume-wise, movement-wise. The line quality. Holy shit, it's gonna be insane. Too big? Yeah, thanks. I could go for some Mackie D's right now. Right about now. Right, no sequence. Actually, this is interesting because the huh. I think this is Warren writing down because after all these hours, it's becoming more apparent that the difference between being in like not necessarily in the flow state, right, but just being a little bit more intuitive and smooth versus being more analytical and more pedantic with the lines. There is I can see the skill a little bit clearer. Like, so what I'm facing, the problems I'm facing now is that a lot of these things were placeholders, right? So as we're bringing it down into really tight thin lines, we have to be very clear on what the shape is supposed to be. But the shape wasn't very defined in the rough shapes, right? Those were just there for vibes. So now that we need to tie down the shapes, it becomes kind of hard, kind of like what Debate pointed out, like all those streams ago, that if I'm dealing with the line and the shape at the same time, it's kind of hard. And I think inherently because the lines tend to be a little bit more stiff, despite requiring sort of flow still in order to make it look smooth, it's still kind of very stiff because I have to get it right. But then the shapes can be a little bit looser and a little bit more flowy, but it's kind of the same thing, no? I guess we're not 100% clear yet. I'm just gonna let it sit then, this thought. Not gonna bother with that now then. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's very important in the beginning to lower that sort of resistance level down as much as you can. If you can do sketching without thinking, I think that's good. Then you bring in the logic and be like, hey, I don't really like this. Why is that? And then you try to fix it more logically that way. But now because you already have something, it becomes a lot easier. So I do think it makes sense. It's just that, like, for me in this case, for example, right? Because I'm doing exactly what you're saying. I just kind of did the sketch without really thinking necessarily about what it should be, just generally what it should be. Like the rough shape and silhouette of it. But before I go into lines, I think there should have been one more step where I tie down the stuff a little bit more before I start doing this final set of lines. I think that's what I'm missing. Not necessarily that the first step wasn't good. Right. You just need to put one more thing in between, I think. I think the workflow itself doesn't have necessarily any issues. It's just the different stages, I guess, right? So you have the rough stage, which is just to lower resistance, break things up, get a rough idea. And then you have the line art stage that is final set, very clean, gotta be very perfect. But then there just needs to be in between. Actually, I feel like this should warrant writing down because the process of approaching this is pretty, I think, universal across different things, like colors as well. Sorry, where the hell is my stupid ass? Oh, it's here. Important. Let me see. Whoa. Chill out, broski. So here's the separation, right? Separation of concerns of responsibility. It's so hard to type on this keyboard because it's so much higher than my old one, which is too cheap. Solo ads? O ads? Ho ads. Oh, God damn it, every time. It is true, yeah. I do agree. Because art inherently is a very painful process. My brain is always trying to run away from the work, and the stream is only the only thing keeping me on track, right? Ria keeps me on track in the sense that I try to force myself to strive for that whatever thing that I promised, and then stream forces me to actually put in the work. But otherwise, there's a lot of escaping. There's a lot of running away. So it makes sense that in the beginning, you do rough stuff, and then by then you're like, oh yeah, I did quite a bit of stuff today, I guess. Let's take a break, you know. Or if you're going to go and do line art, you'll be like, oh, it's just I'm so tired. And then when you do the line art, you're like, oh, I already did rough anyways. Why don't I just use that? The in-between step is kind of interesting. Not very relatable. I don't really know what her year's forms are specifically, by the way. I always just kind of hand wave the sort of thing. The shapes are kind of legacy carried over from another character. And that character will have a similar shape but in a different way. I'll deal with that in the future, but I guess this is it for this, and then I'll do the hair on top. What? Oh. Oops. Why am I being so pedantic about typing? Cares, bro. Don't care. Oh yeah, actually you bring out a really important point there. I always talk about, like, I forgot to write it down because it becomes too second nature, is that specifically in line art, going from I don't know where I'll put it. I just dumped it here. Presence. Speaker presence. That's you. Actually, I don't know if this point fits here. Yeah, I want to write everything down so that eventually the video is made. It's comprehensive. It spans across basically everything that you're about to feel when you do art. and there's like not necessarily an explanation, or maybe maybe there will be an explanation, not necessarily a fix for the problem, but just an explanation of why you might be feeling it. And then from there, you can kind of figure out that how you want to tackle it. Maybe you're more capable of tackling it in a different way than someone else, and like different methods of coping with it. But being aware of the emotion and being aware of why it happens, I think is pretty important, because you know, you have to be aware of the problem in order to deal with it. Kind of vibe. Yeah, it's a lot of writing. Actually, I kind of feel like I want to hijack the streams to stop doing art for a bit, just so I can get the website set up, just so I can get the information consolidated, so that we have a very sort of what's the word? Clean way of accounting for information, and also it becomes immediately available to everyone, right? So it's kind of outside of screen right now. I'm gonna push it in here. Oh. Shit, okay. Oh yeah, there's this other problem with this hair. It kind of goes across everything. God damn it. This is always very tricky, because this hair is always gonna block the nose, the hair, the mouth, the eyes, the mouth, that kind of stuff. Makes things very complicated, I think. It changes the vibes a lot, I should say, because in the sketches, you kind of see everything evenly. Anyways. But then when you color it, the presence of it bumps up by a lot. Like if I do it here, it's gonna cover the mouth. But I also don't know if I want to block the eye. Shit, I don't know what to do with this. Dang. That sucks. This way is probably the best, right? This has the most amount of space here. I don't think we have another option here, actually. Because I gotta show the mouth, and I want to show the eyes. Just going by logic. Now let's hang on to this for a bit, because I need to get the side contours done. Oh, brushed away or no? Oh, actually, this is another interesting thing. Hang on a second. There's a lot of meta kinesis, a lot of thinking about thinking here, but um, how do I phrase this though? Let me think. So what I'm feeling is that, let's say right now, right, I need to decide if the hair comes down, do some other thing, or like it gets behind or whatever, right? Like I need to get a feel for what I want, what I like. But none of them feel right, and that's because I've been staring at this for so long that it kind of, I already lock onto this. I already got used to this, right? So I have to reset on the. I have to reset on what though? There's a mentality change that is required for me on my part in order to do it correctly. The reason being that if you've gotten used to this, then anything you do will look different from it and therefore feel not good. So rather you have to detach from the original and then reattach to this incomplete state, and then that is your reset, and then you reset from there, and then you start from here, start from that position, which is this position. Then from here I can sort of plan out what I want. And I think this is probably not a problem for most people. I think I was just not very in control of my thoughts in the past, and it kind of just got stuck. Mm. That is true. I think fundamentally, the uncomfy feeling is still your baseline. It is still the sort of evaluation criteria. You have to get rid of it. Um, the thing about the reset is that it sort of helps me make the uncomfy not come up in the first place, because then or rather the uncomfy will still come up, but it wouldn't come up because of me trying to make it feel the same as what it does now, because the now is inherently not good. So I can still kind of get stuck, but it would at least not be because of me locking onto the wrong thing. I think that's probably a better way to put it. Logically thinking about this right now, I'm feeling like I'm missing something. Yeah, the thing about the jittering as well is that I can kind of be a little bit more loose with the lines technically, because every other frame is going to jitter anyways, so it doesn't matter if it's a little bit inconsistent. Yeah, I don't really want to do this. It reminds me of Manhattan Cafe, and I don't really like that. I don't want to go and end up looking like another character too much if I can help it. Her design was meant to pull everything down. I don't want to dodge this if I can help it, but it would cut right to the eye here. And I don't know how that makes me feel at this point. Let me think. So worst case scenario is what? Worst case scenario, I push, either I can change the hair, which requires redrawing the hair, but hair is on its own layer and it's on top, so it doesn't require redrawing or fixing anything else. Most likely, it would just be self-contained. Number one. Number two option, move the entire eye and mouth layer on top so that none of it gets covered anyways. That is possible. Two, we can also do the live 2D trick where it's semi-opaque, right? It has opacity setting. That is also another option. Um, it seems like we can compromise somewhere else, so I'm not gonna compromise on ideals here then. I'm just gonna continue this method currently. Can I do this instead? If that's the case, I'm just gonna full commit on this line, no? I'm gonna full send on this then. I don't really want it to come this way. I kind of want it to go this way almost. I can at least shift lines like this. It's right there by the threshold of the nose, though. It is kind of annoying. But I'm gonna commit for now, and then we'll figure out if this is a good or bad idea. I have to figure this out eventually too, because this character is she's gonna have this problem every time basically. God damn it. This is the limits of my wrist drawing. I also don't really get what this is doing, by the way. This seems to have hair coming in, but for whatever reason, it always coagulates into this thing. I always do it like this. But I don't really know what this means. Because it's not that. It could be, though. I could always make it be. Eh, so complicated to set this up. Because I didn't set it up before yet. Broski. I'm gonna commit this. Bro, undraw lines, bro. Stop it. Oh, right, the music ended. Oh. I think I should use my my big brain a little bit and try to figure out how I can freaking send two separate audio streams to one for Twitch and one for YouTube. This way I can blast my own music on Twitch, and then the YouTube can get whatever non-copyrightable music I so choose. This way there's an option for people to just enjoy the music. Then I don't have to worry about trying to hop off YouTube too soon, I guess. Alright, the folding sequence I'm gonna do separately. Hmm. This part I don't like it being shown. I think it might have to be though, given the setup, but it's really weird every time though to see it. Ah. What do I do with that? I think because this one here is, yeah, not on that side unless I push, but it's not possible though. There is that thing. I think, can I push this? Yeah, I don't know how that works physically. This clip thing is kind of confusing to me. I need to grow my hair out so I can figure this out. I can do this in real life maybe after like a year of leaving my hair uncut. Shit, so hard. One day. What am I running right now? Let's call for the offer. Let's do main first. Yeah, this part is hard. I hand wave it a lot every time here. I don't really know what's happening. Oh, maybe it's because it's minimized. I see. Very aggressive today. Oh boy. I'm not animating hair, so at least I don't mind having a bit more noise like this. Thank God I'm not animating hair. Holy shit. Oh, I see. override sequence is not like it's immediately available though. Dang it, I can't see what's colored and what's not gonna be colored now. So complicated here. Oh, this is too short, huh? Target is like this length, right? Oh yeah, this is the other problem. So the year itself is now going to be basically entirely covered. I don't think it is visible because everything else is in front of it. I guess there is no other way around it. This is just how it's going to be. It is what it is. Very cool, guys. Very cool. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Target. And so here, except that this line is not approved because it doesn't really have any continuity. The line is no. Wait, no. This target is here. The outer contour goes through. This is meant to be just the front. The back does its own thing. Right, so really... Oops. This is also a problem. Really, it means it's this. All right, right. I see the vision. Target is there. Target poo. Is goo enough? Ignore. Control is missing. Missing control. Missing fixed. Thereabouts. It's not quite long enough. I'm not gonna care anymore. We have bigger problems to worry about. So this is the base set, I think. It's the first. This is the first frame, right? Our first frame out of hundreds. How many frames do we have actually? Let's just add up the numbers. Oh, I gotta do math. I'm just gonna include the tail anyways, I think. So 10, 18, 26, 33, 36, 46, 54, 63, 70. 70 frames over here in total. 75 frames. Very cool. Oh, this is proportion issue. Yeah, more like 60, 69 weeks left. Because we're only gonna spend one stream, one stream per week. Somehow we can make it for next year's Valentine. Let's go. We're gonna make it for next year, guys. Don't worry about this, guys. It was all planned. Holy shit. Alright, I'm gonna nuke this. I don't like it. I need to redo this. Unironically, not a bad thing, right? For it to make it for next year. Because we didn't make it this year, so it's great. It's perfect. Can use it next year when it's finally properly done. And 69 streams is more than a year, though, by the way. Yeah, hair has to go on top. But that makes it really tricky. So actually the 2 years might have to be separate. So this is a really good case, right? So the hair doesn't move, right? The hair doesn't move. So it can stay by itself and ideally cover everything else that does move. Then it doesn't have to do anything, which is great for this year. But for this year here is on top of the hair. So if the hair layer were to be on top, when the year goes up, this needs to be erased more and more and more. So we need many different frames for the hair here. That is unless, of course, if we bring the year onto its own separate layer on top of everything. So this is like an example of all the complexity we were talking about before, of like what should be on top of what. In this case, it's fine, even though they're both years, right? We can still kind of have them on separate groups. So that's fine. The complexity will come when it's like, let's say this year, for example, is like a contiguous part for whatever reason. Like it's a contiguous area of color, and then on one part of it is being blocked by one thing, on another part is blocking that thing. That would be kind of a pain, yes. Because you better hope that there's a central area here for whatever reason, right? It's connected through this, that it doesn't move. Then in that area, it can just stay constant. If not, like there'll be a very difficult thing to deal with. Then you might as well put it on the same layer at that point, I guess. Oh yeah, I'm not even done with the hair. God damn it. I'm not done for 2 reasons. Number 1, the back here. Number 2, I want more stuff on top, actually. Because there's no overlaps right now, if you say. Everything's really flat. This kind of overlaps over by itself, but it doesn't overlap here. Not to mention over here as well. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't choose to animate the entire body. This is impossible. We have to compromise so much on the hair. If I made the head turn even slightly, can you imagine rendering all of this in perspective? My god. And it has to stay consistent. I remember this in Live 2D, because I was trying to make the hair really messy for Ria as well. And it was, you know, if you can get like each of these strands on their own separate layers and rig up each of those strands separately, then they can properly overlap and properly show perspective a little bit, well, better. That is when I realized that most VTubers actually, if you look at the hair, they kind of hand wave quite a lot of it because it's just absolutely insane amount of work to do that. There are people who did it though. Not many. Not for many models either. I would love to not have compromise on that, but I don't think it's possible. Why am I not running this line properly? Yeah, for the demo. Maybe it's better to open. Yeah, it's better to open, I think. Alright, pull long first. So I don't know what the tail is gonna be. I'm gonna ignore the tail. Yeah, if we animate the tail, the hair is gonna have to change because it goes through that hair, that wall of hair. Let me. Oh, I didn't really like the lines too much before. Like for the one in the desktop background, I feel like it might have been too thick and this and that. But now I kind of like that more over this. But I'm sure by the time I'm done with this, I'll be fine with this as well. We do flat sequence first, and then we do overlaps afterwards to deal with the BD-ness of the issue, I think. Was it 10-2? I think it was 10-2. Right? What's the difference here? Yeah, I think that's fine. The legs don't move, so that's fine, but the wings do move, so we do have to draw through the wings so that it works. You see, here's the problem, right? The back hair technically is behind everything now. So we might need a front hair and a back hair on different layers. So when these things move, they don't have any issues. But the hair can still cover over the clothing, which also would have its own set of animation layers. We're gonna have to cut everything up later. I guess not unlike Live 2D, huh? I guess it's basically exactly the same, would it not be? Yeah, the sequence swapped over to art. There's a copy on that. Interesting. When I first started streaming today, my brain is in programming mode. Didn't make a lot of sense, I think, art at that point. Now it's entirely in art. I'm okay with this little bit of imperfection here, I think. I say as I attempt to fix it. But should be fine by now. We have enough stuff holding everything together. I shouldn't remove it because technically it should just be allowed to exist because it's gonna be behind anyways. Cancel that lines. Oh, sorry. This one actually meant to go through. You know what? I'm gonna leave the edges unclosed, open like this, because I think it's interesting to give this a try too. Given our requirements, I don't think we need to close all of them because we are jittering, which means that we should probably be fine. Singular to imply. I think other than that. We're on the right track. Right. Good enough. Good enough. Not good enough. Wait. Hmm. Why is it not good enough? Because this sequence here, proportions are a little bit too chunky, I think. This line here is the boundary. So many warnings. Holy shit. Insane. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Oh man. Gotta get the website up ASAP. And then I'm going to... Yeah, we are definitely not working on this tomorrow, I don't think. We should go back to doing what we were doing. Currently, the most urgent thing is something we haven't even started doing yet, which is to use music, drive the inspiration, hold on to the inspiration, and then we do art that way. That would be the only way to get stuff that I want to get done. The final true thing that I want to do. Then from there, I get enough experience with doing it, then presenting it. Then we set the website up. Then that is where we're truly in the middle of the process of doing what is it that I want to do. Only until we get to that point. At some point we'll be starting. Oh yeah, so if we use music to drive inspiration and draw, that is basically starting. And we're on the starting line, we're walking forwards. Then we need to walk a little bit, we need to walk enough. Then I can get the website and stuff set up correctly to complement what we do. Then at that point, we're kind of, I'm kind of finally started. Yeah, still a really long way. Thank you, the virus. Actually, in accordance to that, based on that sequencing, then I do have to get my Twitch and YouTube audio streams split ASAP, because I think it's important to have the... Unfortunately, we can't document it on YouTube just simply because it's all copyrighted music, right? But like, at least if I can get it working on Twitch, get it streamed on Twitch rather, get it on air on Twitch, and at least people can understand what's happening. Channel is constantly changing this silhouette. I'm just trying to get things to look more balanced. Not just within each bundle, right? I'm trying to pull the length as long as possible, so that there's more slender forms rather than like more chunky ones, as we have talked about before. Then the other one would be just the overall balance. This part versus this part, these parts versus these parts. I don't really like what I have. I just think it's acceptable. Just all I can ask for right now. Okay, at least we got the basic set of lines done. I'm just gonna commit to this. Actually, this line here is kind of annoying. Ideally, we'll bring a few more over the front. Oh, this should be forced down here. This can be forced down, that's fine. But ideally, there's more stuff on top, because there's no layering at this point. I don't know how to make it look good. It always look kind of weird for me. As it stands, it's also kind of weird, I suppose. What did I do here? I ignored it. Of course. I mean, it's acceptable to ignore it here, I would say. It's not really that core to anything. Okay. This is it for today. God damn. I think the next step would be to separate each part into its own series of what's that called? The animation layers, animation folders. And then we'll finish all the lines before we put in color, I think. Does that make sense? I don't think it matters too much by then, actually. No, you kind of need the lines anyways. You need lines first anyways. Yeah, it's no difference. Might as well do all the lines first and then do the color. Just in case there's something that might want to be changed. Just in case. Anyways, thank you guys for coming. Tomorrow, I do think I should go back to doing our work in progress over here. Good thing a lot of the main planning and stuff has already been done. So just because we haven't worked on it for so long doesn't mean we're gonna be very lost, right? Most of the stuff is placed in. Behind the scenes, I'll work on the website and work on the presentation for all the Twitter stuff. If there's any more updates, I'll update you guys as per always. But otherwise, that's it for today. Thank you guys for coming. Have a good night. Goodbye.